If you want a pet that's more socially appreciating your love, I wouldn't think that the gerbils would be the answer. Hey you guys, it's Shine. Welcome back to Fins and Whiskers. I just want to give a quick statement. YouTube, I am an adult. Please stop disabling my comments because I sound like this. Thank you. Now I asked you on Instagram what you guys would like to see, and I got two that really blended well together, so I thought I would do those. Now for this week's videos, I'm going to do why you should not get a gerbil, and then the following week I will do why you should. Now this video was really hard to plan because it is something that hurts a little bit to even question, but I know it's very important for people to know the best option when they're deciding a pet and which one works for them, which is super important for you and the pet so that you both have the care involved that you both need. And so this video is going to be on why you shouldn't get gerbils. And so yeah, guess we're going to do that. So one of the first reasons that I list on why you wouldn't want to get a gerbil, and maybe a reason why you would want to, but we're going to save those for later in the other video. But they are very active pets, especially when they are young and from anywhere from months old to 2 years old. They can be super active and energetic, and what they decide to do with that energy is very spontaneous, so you'll have some challenges ahead of you with that, and they need to be a bit more entertained or satisfied with their space. They can even try to get your attention, and they can try to get your attention by doing things that they shouldn't, like my gerbils. They want Beanie, only Beanie, because Beanie likes to get out of the enclosure. The others don't really care to. But since Beanie does, and I gave her that freedom lots of times, she now goes up onto the lid. No other time does she go on the lid or chew it or anything. She does it to get my attention when she hears my voice or knows that I'm in the room. And she's honestly looking at me right now. I'm going to be surprised if she doesn't try to get my attention while filming this video, because she chews it and it's really loud, and so that is something to keep in mind. They are active, energetic, especially when they are young and, well, at least in their growing / adult age. When they're elders, they tend to slow down, but just something to keep in mind. And they are more awake during the day, so if you are someone who is very busy during the day, then you probably would want to not have a pet that needs to be concerned over in the daytime. Another reason not to get gerbils is if you think they are like hamsters. They are not like hamsters. They're quite the opposite, and so if the habits of a hamster is what you are more interested in having, but just in a different species, I wouldn't recommend gerbils. Gerbils are much more active. They are social animals, and they're so up to things during the day, so they really just wake up and think, what shall I do today? And then they do it. So they are much more energetic, and other problem with gerbils right now is that a lot of people tend to group gerbils and hamsters together in the same care and dietary needs, which is not helpful to gerbils because they do not have the same dietary needs as hamsters. They actually need less protein. Adult gerbils need less protein, and even lesser English when they are seniors. So things to keep in mind. You really need to dig deep into gerbil research because there's not a lot, and a lot of companies especially just clash them with hamsters, which is not good for them. And so it's very easy to not give them the proper care. So it does take some extra steps to have gerbils. You have to really work with them and their experience of being gerbils, and if you're trying to get something that's like a hamster, I probably wouldn't recommend that you get gerbils. Now, some demands that are more of a priority for gerbils in comparison to hamsters is it's really hard to find the right food, because as with hamsters, while you can mix different food mixes like lab blocks and the Higgins Sunburst to get more protein that hamsters need, you can't do that to get less protein, so it's a bit complicated with gerbils to find the right mix, and often homemade mixes right now are the best option for gerbils, but it is not the fault of us that companies haven't really put in attention to making good gerbil diets and seed mixes specifically for gerbils. Even the ones that are just for gerbils tend to be low quality, so it really isn't your fault if you use Higgins Sunburst or the other one that I recommend in my video of what food mix you should make. So definitely check that out if you're confused or don't know what to feed your gerbil. I know not everyone can make a homemade mix. It's a lot to do, and sometimes the seeds are really hard to find, so no one blames you for it, and it's just sad. Companies, take care of gerbils. Gerbils also need more than 6 inches of bedding. In comparison to hamsters, gerbils actually burrow and make tunneling systems a lot more than hamsters do. They have different areas for every situation, and they have exits everywhere that they go in and out of for any kind of trouble or just in case, because gerbils are very careful creatures as they are prey animals. And because of this, gerbils will try to turn anything into a burrow. They will try to have everything covered in bedding. If you do not have a good separator or even a cage topper for their wheel, sand bath, and water, they will cover it in bedding, making it unusable. So it's something that you really have to work to make impossible for them to get bedding there. I have in my cage cleaning and tours how I did it, and if you have any questions, of course, always ask in the comments. But yeah, definitely challenging those things is more of a demand in the beginning, especially when you're owning your gerbils for the first time, because you never know what they're going to do and how they are going to act in any enclosure. So another reason, which is going to sound kind of silly, but it's a good one, to not get gerbils would be because they are serious architects, and I mean serious. You are not going to be the sole designer of the enclosure. They are. And they are going to take every measure to make sure that they can. Almond is our very serious architect in the group, in the clan, and she just builds and constructs and reconstructs and renovates all the time, every single day. And so it's something that you have to really learn how to establish, keeping the wheel again and sand and water away from the bedding so she can do whatever she wants, but still those things for exercise can be used. It can be tricky, and I know some people still end up getting bedding in the sand area, even taking measures to not get it there, but definitely something to keep in mind. At the very least, you would have to clean their sand area or where their wheel is a lot more often, because they will try to cover it if you don't have some kind of separation. And so that's definitely an important thing to consider with gerbils, because they really take seriously decorating, and also this doesn't last. Other gerbils tend to walk over and destroy their creations, so they're constantly upgrading and just redoing everything. So definitely consider that, because you can find it a bit of a work at first to try and have them have the most fulfilling lives with all the enrichment they need when they just want to cover things in bedding. Looking at you, Almond. Another reason that can be very concerning is bonding. Now, since gerbils are social animals, they do need to be in pairs or trios. And if your gerbils were not born together, they are going to have to go through a bonding process, and a lot of times that means you're going to have to split the cage and do a whole series of events just for them to be together in the end. And this can also fall apart if they decide to challenge their roles in the clan. So that's definitely probably one of the most things to consider if gerbils are for you. If you don't get them in groups that were born together or just been together since birth, you're going to need to find a gerbil partner, and you're going to have to make sure that they are fully bonded. The last reason that I want to go over is that they are not cuddly. Now, again, comparing to hamsters kind of let you do whatever. They're just given, they're a bit more easier to tame and settle with whatever you want, like petting them, holding them. Now, with gerbils, especially when they're young, they are very hard to get to want to handle because they're so energetic. They're just always on the move. So it's very special when you do get gerbils that like to be on your hands and just near you, getting pets and everything. My gerbils do like to get pets, but not so much the whole being out of their enclosure. Only Beanie likes to be out of the enclosure. The others, they really don't care for it, and so that is definitely something to keep in mind if you want a pet that's more socially appreciating your love. I wouldn't think that the gerbils would be the answer for that, sadly, but you can always learn to love them in their own way and their own habits, like I have. They're just special, and they deserve the special treatment that they want. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful, and if you're trying to decide if gerbils are the right pet for you, and if any of these are making you doubt or anything and just you want more questions, always feel free to ask in the comments below so I can help you. And yeah, so bye.